Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing some book reviews. All of these books I was sent from Hachette Australia in exchange for an honest review, so thank you very much Hachette Australia. Or is it Hachette? How do you pronounce Hachette or Hachette Australia? I should really learn that. If someone knows in the comments below, please let me know. Anyway, in no particular order, the books I have to review are No Way, Okay Fine by Brodie Lancaster, See What I Have Done by Sarah Smith, The Dreamwalker by Victoria Carless, and The Girl Before by J.P. Dennerley. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Dreamwalker by Victoria Carless. I just finished this book today and I really enjoyed it. This is an Australian YA book and it's set in a small town in Queensland called Diggers Landing. It's home to a very few number of families, a couple of mongrel dogs, and fish. Basically all of the people here fish and they survive off the fish, they sell the fish, the whole world basically surrounds these fish. And our main character is a girl named Lucy who is in her last year of school. She wants to finish school and then escape with her best friend Polly to get the hell out of this small town. If you've lived in a small town, I'm sure you can relate to Lucy. I certainly could. However, things don't go to plan in Lucy's final year. Her best friend Polly has to drop out of school in order to help pay her parents' bills. Her longtime crush Tom is away at boarding school. She's still struggling with her mum's past and who she was, as her mum is now dead and Lucy can't really answer all the questions she has around her and her past. And on top of all that, Lucy, when she goes to sleep, discovers that she can dream walk, she can hop into other people's dreams, and she starts to discover that the people in this small town have secrets just like her. I really enjoyed this book. I loved learning about Lucy and her small town, and I loved hearing about what had happened to her mother. A lot of people in the town say that her father killed her mother, and a lot of people just don't talk to her father, and Lucy struggles with that. She doesn't know fully what happened yet and she's trying to discover it all, and throughout the book we learn more too with her. I was really intrigued by everything that was going on and all the different characters in here as well. I found a lot of the characters were complex and real and interesting, and all of them were flawed, especially Lucy herself. At times some of the characters frustrated me, but in a good way. If a character's not frustrating you sometimes, then they're probably too perfect and it's not realistic, and I love how these characters were very realistic. From Lucy's best friend Polly, to Tom, to her father, to everyone in this town. This book also featured some beautiful dogs, my favourite dog being Lucy's dog, Glenn, and I loved all the dogs in here, and I really loved reading about these dogs. The dogs to me felt so much full of character as well that sometimes when I was really tired and reading this book, I thought we were reading about an actual human until I realised that we're actually reading about a dog. I felt the story in here was really complex, and it was something that delved with a range of topics, but the topics that I can't really talk about because spoilers, and I don't want to spoil anything. But I felt like it handled each topic very well. I really want to chuck this at my friends and be like, read it and then tell me what you thought of this and this and this. I really enjoyed The Dreamwalker. I found it was a fantastic Australian YA book and I would highly recommend it. I'm rating this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I have The Girl Before by J.P. Dennerley. I read this one a while back and I don't remember too much of it. It was a book that didn't really stand out to me. Even while I was reading it, it didn't stand out to me then either. This book follows a woman named Jane who stumbles across this beautiful rental property. She would never be able to afford to live in it, but she does get to, but as long as she follows the many rules that come with living in this apartment. And there's a lot of them. But she decides to give it a try and moves in. But soon after she moves in, she discovers that the girl that previously lived there died mysteriously, and she starts to wonder if the same thing is going to happen to her. This book follows Jade, the tenant that is now living in this house, and Emma, the tenant before, who is now dead. And their stories, and we kind of see similarities, and it's a psychological thriller. There's a character in here who I don't want to spoil by saying who it is, but you'll know it if you've read it, and I absolutely hated them. There's a scene where they're eating live fish and it was disgusting and honestly made me want to throw up. Just the description of them eating these live fish was gross. Anyway, though, this book just didn't really stand out to me. The twists were just oh okay, they weren't really mind-blowing twists or anything like that. It was just oh okay, so that happened. I just don't think that this book was for me. It's not something that I really enjoyed, and I would rate it a 2 out of 5 stars. Not saying that this book wouldn't be for you, just personally wasn't for me. Then I have one that I really enjoyed for the most part, and that was No Way, Okay Fine, a memoir of pop culture, feminism and feelings by Brodie Lancaster. So as we learnt from the title, this is a memoir, and I felt it focused a lot on feminism, which I really enjoyed. I really loved listening to Brodie's points of view on a lot of things. Brodie was funny and relatable for the most part, and I loved hearing about the pop culture references, the Gilmore Girl references, especially I love Gilmore Girls, and it was just funny and relatable. Brodie was just a really funny character. A lot of the time I felt like when I was reading it, I was like talking to a friend or like hearing words from a friend. There was, however, one main issue I had with the book that really threw a damper on things, especially because it was right at the end of the book, and obviously lasting impressions happen, and one of the things you're gonna remember is what happened at the end. I don't want to delve into it too much, but basically one of the last chapters talks about Kanye West and how Brody loves Kanye, and I'm personally not a big fan of Kanye West, and she says in this book that she may be preaching, and by gosh is she preaches the hell out of Kanye West, and I have a lot of issues with him. I'm not gonna delve into them, but I feel like when a celebrity does something wrong, and even if it's your favorite celebrity, you need to understand it and not be like, oh, it was because of this reason, like we should forgive them because this happened to them and something like that. And that's basically what she was doing, and I just didn't agree with it at all. And it was a real shame because that was one of the last chapters of the book, and so then I finished the book and then all I could think of was that last chapter and how angry it made me. Before that, I was really enjoying this book. It was just that last chapter, and I wish I hadn't have read it because before that my rating probably would have been a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It brought my rating down to a 3 out of 5 stars. For me, it's a real shame about that chapter because I just could not agree with it at all, and it felt like I was being preached at of why Kanye West is the best human being to work this planet, and I just don't agree with that. Apart from that though, this book was quite funny and hilarious, and I did enjoy it, except for that last chapter. The last book I have is See What I Have Done by Sarah Smith. I'm quite annoyed at myself because I requested this book, reading the blurb, I read the book, and I was like, oh yeah, I enjoyed it, and then a lot later on after I finished this book, I actually found out that it was based on true crime. It follows Lizzie Borden and when her father and stepmother are found brutally murdered, and she becomes a suspect, and she, you know, goes down from there. This is obviously the author's take of fictionalizing what had happened. It doesn't mean what happened. We still don't know really what happened with this case, as I later found out. I really like true crime, and I felt like I would have enjoyed this book a lot better if I had actually known that this was based, you know, roughly on, you know, a true story, like a true crime. But I didn't, and as such I just didn't enjoy it as much as I really think I would have. The Lizzie Borden case really interests you, then definitely go pick up this book. I think you'll enjoy it, and hearing about this author's take of what happened. Obviously it's not the author's take, it's just the author's, you know, made up story of what happened. What I'm trying to say though, that this book was weird in a way. Lizzie herself, I felt, was not mentally there in this book, and she really frustrated me as a main character, and I just couldn't relate to her at all or feel sorry for her of what was happening in her life. I don't think this book was for me at the time of reading it. I think that if I had read it after I had learned about the Lizzie Borden case, I would have enjoyed it much more immensely, and as such, if you know about the Lizzie Borden case and this book interests you, I would definitely recommend it. At the time of reading this, I rated this one a 2 out of 5 stars. However, I believe that this would have changed if I had read it after I had known about the Lizzie Borden case and researched it more. So these are the books that I had to review. Let me know in the comments below which book interests you the most and which book you're most likely to pick up, or if you've read any of them and what you thought of them. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more book related videos from me, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye!